What's going on, Canes fan? Welcome to Junior and the Big Dog, your favorite father and son duo covering Miami Hurricanes football and sports. We're here with our post-game reaction of last night's game against the Virginia Cavaliers. Some questions that we're going to talk about today is there cause for concern on the things that we're seeing, or is this just a process of rebuilding and a team that's learning how to win these kind of games, man? So we're gonna get into all that. We might even take some phone calls, man, because I kind of want to get the pulse a little bit more on how our Canes fans are feeling, because I feel like Twitter sometimes is a misrepresentation. A lot of the negativity gets amplified sometimes. So I kind of want to get just a genuine pulse of how everybody's feeling and what they're thinking. Canes are 5-1. They beat Virginia last night, so yeah, we're gonna go ahead and get into all that stuff, man. But before we go ahead, before I pass it on to the big dog, if you guys are new here by any chance, man, please subscribe, hit that like button, hit that notification bell so you can get notified anytime me and the big dog do go live. We go live every single Wednesday at 7 p.m. to preview the upcoming game, and as you see now, we're going live on Sunday morning to talk about last night's game, man. So if you guys want to contribute to the channel financially, you see our PayPal right there, or you could donate to the super chat. But like we always say, the best way you can help out the Junior and the Big Dog family, man, is just by showing up, hitting that like button, subscribing, sharing, and trying to expand the Junior and the Big Dog family, man. So with that being said, what's up, Big Dog? Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. I was going to do a rundown, and but we got a lot of people in here early. That there were a lot of our Junior and the Big Dog family was already going at it. Not going at it, but chatting with each other before we got on. So
I like seeing that too.
Yeah, I do too. I love it. I love seeing you guys engaging with each other, engaging with us. Let me do a quick rundown.
Yep.
Lakers all day. 904 Hurricane curveball. Ashley, how you doing, Ashley? Good to see you. Good to see
you. That's actually her husband, if I'm not mistaken. Yes,
because it's Shane.
Correct.
Gotcha. Well, Shane, what do you say?
He's just on her account.
Gotcha.
And I did see your questions, and we're definitely going to get into those questions, Shane. Good. So don't worry about
it. Gooseman, what do you say? Let's see here. Lakers all day. I don't know if I have mentioned him already. Diva, Dreadlock. What do you say, Dread? Stunner boy. Always love seeing you on. 247. Martin Dubé. Martin. Oh, joining us from Botswana early in the morning here. I believe it's
afternoon over there.
Yeah, I'm horrible at that. I'm horrible at figuring out time zone differences and stuff like that. And I should be better at it because I watch
Martin. And just very quick, Martin, I would like for you to know, my friend, because you've been supporting me, the Big Dog, since the very beginning. Well, yeah. Most of you have. But Martin can't join us on our lives at night because of the time difference. So one of the things that we do enjoy, Martin, is being able to go live this early and seeing you being able to go ahead and engage and talk about what do you think about the Miami Hurricanes, man. So thank you so much for joining us.
Absolutely. My good buddy, Jason. What do you say, Jason Sigmund?
OG Kane, what's up, man? You're not working this morning?
OG, good morning.
Taz.
Shad. Taz, what do you say, Taz?
Canes fan Larry already trolling in here early in the morning. I see you.
Ocala.
Trolls are welcome. I don't care. Everybody's welcome.
Raymond.
Sean, Geechee. We just got a $11 donation from Shad Jamal. Thank you so much, Shad,
Chad.
No comment or anything, but thank you so much, man. Really do appreciate it. Yeah. So
Kissimmee Will Sky. I just want to finish up. Sean, the Miami flag football, love it. Dennis, what do you say, Dennis? And Terrence and Modi. That's still, for those of you who are young, do not know.
Kumodi.
that was my favorite rapper back in the day.
Yeah.
All right. Good morning, all of you guys. All right, Junior. I know you wanted to start, and Chad, thank you so much. But I know you wanted to start and say some things.
Yeah, man. Basically, so this is kind of what Okay, so there's two ways of looking at this, and based on he says Martin is 6 hours ahead in your summer and 7 hours ahead in your winter.
That
Okay,
that that I'll remember that. Thank you,
yeah,
Martin, because
yeah.
I'm
So
terrible at that, and I should be better because I like Australian rules football, and I used to have to get up like at 2 in the morning to watch like a big game from Australia, so
yeah.
I should know the time difference. But
What's up, Uncle Joe? 247 is going to be hard for Tua to throw for three touchdowns today because we're actually on a bye week, so we're not gonna see Tua. We're not gonna see Tua until next week.
they unwrap him next week. They unwrap his hip,
Exactly. So
which I'm sure will be wrapped, by the way.
yeah. So this is basically the post of the fan base based on what I'm seeing on Twitter, based on some comments that I've read. Some people are saying, hey, a W is a W at the end of the day, and some people are just disappointed. My personal opinion, before I want to go ahead and get to you, Big Dog, is I understand some of the frustrations because there are spurts in the game, and we're gonna get into defensive play calling and things that we kind of disagree with, from time to time. And so basically, when you get to the extreme sides of the spectrum, okay, you have the Canes fans that are super optimistic, saying that hey, we're 5-1. These are games, you could point to. Listen, maybe last year this is a game we probably would have lost. Last week against Pitt is a game that we probably would have lost. So you got that extreme of the fan base saying that things are positive. We're 5-1. We're winning these games. We're learning how to win. I'm there. I'm more on that side, but I'm a little more towards the middle, and I'll explain why. And then you have the other side of the extreme saying that there's no reason why a team like Virginia that's only won one game and has looked terrible this season, and there's no reason why this team, especially considering the way they started off against UAB, against Louisville, against FSU, that kind of offense, that kind of explosion, that kind of running game, you know, scheme wise, the defensively, forcing turnovers and all these things, we're not seeing that anymore. So there's cause for concern, and they're not seeing enough progression in their eyes because they think that we should go from a 6-7 Miami Hurricanes team last year to a 11-0 Miami Hurricanes team that's competing for a national championship. So you got both sides of the extreme. I'm somewhere in the middle. Do I think there are things that we need to improve on? 110%. Okay. And, I've said this before, and I'll repeat it again for those of you that may not heard it. I'm not here to make excuses. But with that being said, these are games, man, that we would not have won last year. Okay, I'm not seeing any quit in this team. All right, are there flaws that I'm seeing on coaching staff, players? Of course, yes, I am. And you could point to not having a full spring. You could point to summer workouts being limited. You could point to a fall camp that's being limited. You could point to a lot of things. You could point to a new offensive scheme. You could point to a new offensive line head coach, offensive line coach. There are a lot of things that you could point to that we went into last year, and those were. It's funny because the excuses last year were that, well, I mean, come on, man, we got freshman left tackle starting, is giving up 10 sacks against Florida. It's gonna take time for this to go ahead and actually work. And so that was the excuse used last year for how poorly we played and how poorly we finished, and how Enos needed to be gone or whatever. We're not playing great, but we're still winning these football games. So I think there is some good takeaways from this. A W is a W, but and then now I'm gonna go ahead and throw this question to you, Big Dog, before we go ahead and answer some of the questions in the comment section, and before we go ahead and dive deeper into this, into the Virginia game last night. Which side of the spectrum are you on? What concerns do you have? And do you agree? Do you disagree with my assessment? What do you think?
I completely agree with your assessment, and on And it's funny, man. It's you and I, besides the fact that we're father and son, and I don't know if people believe in this or not, don't believe in this, whatever. But dude, you and I have like a symbiotic brain almost, man. It's you and I know, and we disagree, but we look at things at the we might disagree on our conclusion, but we look at things very much alike. You and I, we didn't get a chance to talk before to like brainstorm just what we were going to talk about, and literally the theme that popped in my head was good news, bad news.
Right.
And even so much so that when you mention Twitter, this is a quick one good news and one bad news. The good news is those of you don't need to be an MMA fan. If you get an opportunity, find it on YouTube. The clip of what happened yesterday in UFC 254. One of the most powerful, moving things I've ever seen in my life. One of my favorite fighters of all time, Habib Nurmagomedov, defended his title against Justin Gaethje. Habib, a couple of months back, lost his father. His father went into hospital for heart surgery, ended up contracting COVID, and then with complications, it passed away. Habib, his father was not only his dad, was also his coach. In fact, was the coach for many people. Dagestan, Russia, where he's from, is probably the number one place in the world for grappling. It's just, I mean, it's one of those places. I mean, if you throw a rock, you're going to hit an elite grappler in Dagestan because there's so many great grapplers that come from there. Well, Habib is the greatest of those. In my opinion, he's the GOAT. He's the greatest of all time. Well, being that he lost his father a couple of months back, he's very reserved. Habib is very, very reserved. So he keeps it to himself. Well, when he defeated Justin Gaethje last night, or yesterday afternoon, actually, it was in the afternoon, he waved everybody away and then knelt in the middle of the octagon and started crying. Wow. It literally, I mean, tears like just rolling down my cheeks, man. It is powerful. It is one of the greatest things I have seen in a very, very long time. And on that's the good news part of it. So I would say, please see that. On the bad side of it, and this is something I think we all should see. We stay on purposely, and we're not going to delve in that today either. We purposely stay away from politics on our show because of the polarizing nature. And what we're here to do is to discuss our Canes, okay, and the love that we have for the Canes. I would recommend everybody watch the documentary, The Social Dilemma. You need to watch that because I think all of us need to watch that. It shows you how social media is contributing to us getting polarized. And if you guys need to be aware of this, because even the people that were in Silicon Valley, they fell to the same things that they created, they fell victim to. You are being intentionally polarized. The reason is if they elicit anger from you, you get more screen time, which is what they truly want. They just want to sell ads. So if they make you angry, you end up being on your phone or on your iPad a lot more time. That's one of the biggest takeaways from this documentary. Please watch it because I think our society as a whole needs to know this so we don't fall into these traps. So that's my good and bad outside of football. Now let's talk about the Canes. Everywhere that I looked that I saw good, I saw bad. And everywhere that I looked that I saw bad, I saw good. Meaning by that, our wide receivers had their best game of the year by far. You know, Harley lit it up. Mark Pope made some plays, showed you a glimpse of what he could be. Then he had those back-to-back drops on consecutive plays. Conditions weren't great. Okay, so you're gonna expect some drop passes. Chad, again, thank you so much, Chad, for the donation. He says one more thing. Shout out to Mike Harley and Mark Pope for stepping up. Absolutely, stepping their game up last night. Absolutely, Chad, and thanks again for the donation.
And listen, sometimes you need the coaching staff to put pressure and to open up competition, because
well,
that brings out the best in people sometimes, because they can't have a feeling that, yeah, no matter what, because of my seniority, nobody's going to take my job.
Right. Well, and on top of that, that's exactly what the environment you want to create is. If you don't do the job, somebody else is going to get their opportunity to do it. You remember what did Reggie Wayne say when he twisted his ankle? That the coach was like signaling him to come off the field. He's like, I ain't coming off the field, because I know if I come off the field, that dude Andre Johnson is going to get on the field, and I might never see the field again.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's what you want. That's the type of uneasiness, the type of competitive environment that you want to create, where there's a standard. And by the way, we're not going to lower the standard for anybody. If anything, you better raise that standard. Mm-hmm. And if you don't meet that standard, we'll find somebody on this team that will. Okay, so that I love that. I thought the wide receivers really stepped up. That's the positive. The flip side of it, I thought De'Aaron King played really well, for a wet ball, man. He threw it really, really well. And a guy who's not very tall, obviously, he's on the short side. A lot of times, short quarterbacks they struggle, and because of they don't have the hand size to grip the football better. They struggle with their accuracy because they end up babying it a little bit, because they're scared to lose the feeling of the ball. Scared to lose control of the ball. So De'Aaron King, I thought, threw the ball really well. Offensive line, I think we're backtracking. We're falling back to the level of play that I'm not going to say that we saw last year, but not that we saw at our best moments. DJ Scaife.
Do you think that's a result of teams, stacking the box and yes, throwing a lot more blitzes at us?
Yes. Some of that is. Right. Some of that is
because we didn't see that much early on.
No, we didn't. But some of that is, I mean, the one guy that you can say has probably played the most consistently with our offensive line is probably Corey Gaynor. I'm sorry, outside of Jared Williams. I don't include Jared because he obviously he's a transfer. Jared Williams has been our best offensive lineman by far.
Yeah.
By far. In fact, when he's been out of the lineup, you notice that he's out of the lineup right away.
Right.
Because that right side isn't taken care of the way it is with Jared Williams is in the game. But outside of Jared, we were expecting DJ Scaife to be the next best player. Mm-hmm. And he hasn't always played like that this season. Okay, we haven't seen the development that I expected to see from DJ. Now, Corey Gaynor, on the other hand, I think is playing even better than he did last year. And I think he's probably been, outside of Jared, our best offensive lineman. Okay, I did see some really good hustle plays from our offensive line, and this is why I started going by position. Ja'Kai Clark yesterday, I don't know if you guys saw this. It was one of De'Aaron King's runs. Ja'Kai Clark, instead of just blocking his man, as soon as De'Aaron got by him, he ran like 15 yards downfield, full blast, just to try to make another block. And I also saw Nesta. And we've always held Nesta to a certain standard about getting his cardio up to snuff. Nesta, there was a play on a rollout that they hit a pass to the tight end about 20 yards downfield. Nesta was on the play, 20 yards downfield.
Good morning, Captain Trips.
So that's one of those things, man, that I love seeing. But then let's go back to that again with the offensive line. Brett Lashley, I like him just as much every single week. Every week he finds matchups that are in our favor.
What's up, Tori?
We don't always take advantage of them, but so those are the positive things that I saw. For every good thing, there was a bad thing, and vice versa. Defensively, same thing again. Saw a little bit of a poor game at times by DJ Ivey. Saw Al Blades gave up a touchdown that I don't know what he was looking at. I don't know. I know he was confused, but then I don't know how much he was confused because as soon as the pass was thrown over his head for the touchdown, you saw his reaction like he realized.
But the same thing happened to Ivy on the play that was called back.
Oh, exactly. No, that's exactly what my point is.
Right.
And so those things, now, some of that blame falls on the shoulders of Blake Baker. It does. And I'm not reactionary. I've given him an opportunity. Last year, I said, well, he's a young coach, okay? And what Manny sees in him is a guy who's his protege who's going to think defensively the same way Manny does. I'm seeing some things game plan-wise that I don't like. We have dynamic defensive ends, right? We keep running them from the same exact spot every single play.
DCPG. Okay, I understand the way that play was called. Ivy was supposed to have safety help. I'm talking about the touchdown that was called back. Ivy had nobody in front of him. Ivy's eyes were in the backfield because he was worried about the scramble.
Correct.
And what have we talked about when it comes to playing zone and playing a certain part of your your zone?
You don't cover grass.
You don't cover grass.
Right.
So so Ivy sees that there's in his zone there's nobody around, so he's covering grass. He's focused on the QB scrambling. So I understand what you're trying to say, that he's supposed to have that safety over the help because that's the way the play is called. But the things that we've talked about here when it comes to zone defense is if there's nobody around you and you're in your zone, you have to get to the man that's a little bit outside of your zone. You can't just be there freelancing in grass and there's nothing really happening. A man just flew past you. All right. Listen, man, those are plays that you need to be smarter with. So I understand what you're saying. He's supposed to have that safety over the top, and safety got there late. But at the same time, man, you can't be covering a piece of grass. You just can't. So that is what it is.
That's the thing. And there's also coaching points, and that's one of those coaching points. One of the best coaching points you talk about that is, don't ever think of a zone defense as you're covering an area. You're covering players within that area. That's what you're covering.
Right.
Players that are within that area. So you don't want to ever get caught covering grass, because last time I checked, grass still has 0 receptions in their career. So you cover players that are within that area, and
right.
and you have to be situationally aware.
Right.
So defensively, at the end of the day, we gave up 14 points. That's obviously not terrible, especially in today's football. So,
7 points leading up into midway through the fourth quarter.
Correct. But are we seeing the attacking defense that we expect to see? And yeah, he calls blitzes on occasion, but
no, 904. I'm talking about the touchdown that was called back because of illegal formation for Virginia. That was called back.
Right. There's, again, good news, bad news. Good news is we only gave up 14 points. Bad news is I even though I'm seeing blitzes on occasion, I'm still not seeing a lot of variety. Like, for example, if you're worried about Jalen Phillips, where he's getting to the point that when people are game planning for us, they talk about 15, right?
What else, T2Y?
So, but yet he brings Jalen from the same exact spot every single time. Brings Quincy almost from the same exact spot every single time. Right? What I'm not seeing a lot of creativity that makes it easy for offensive coaches to game plan for you. What you want to do to offensive coordinators, the opposing offensive coordinators, is you want to give them a lot to think about. All right? You want to do odd things, but the odd things that you want to do are taking advantage of your players' skill sets. And that's where Blake falls short for me. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
You saw, for example, when we played Clemson, Brett Venables, what does he do? Yeah, he had an overall concept of take away their tight ends, take away the middle of the field, give them one-on-one outside, right? But within that, he did all kinds of strange things, all kinds of weird things.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And what ends up happening is you get your offensive coordinators back on their heels because they can't count on anything. Now, if I'm preparing for the Canes and I'm the OC of the other team and I see, like, for example, our defensive ends, they're going to bring it from the same exact spot every single play. So what do? Easy. You start game planning because you know Jalen Phillips is coming from that left defensive end spot every play.
Mm-hmm.
Quincy Roche is coming from the right defensive end spot every play. Right? You need to change it up. You need to take advantage of your player's skill set, and I don't see that enough. I don't see us attacking enough. Okay, here's a quarterback coming into the game, had 5 touchdown passes, 6 interceptions. How many picks did we get yesterday? That was a squadouche, a 0. Right? Turnover. We got that one turnover at the end of the game.
Yep.
In a sloppy as hell game, in sloppy conditions. Okay? Because you're having players not having their skill sets and taken advantage of, and therefore you don't see that attacking, game-changing. I mean, we didn't have a tackle for loss until deep into the second quarter, if I'm not mistaken.
Right.
Okay? So I have some concerns schematically with Blake Baker. Now, the good news is we gave up 14 points on a game that we didn't play our best football and had some broken blown coverages and blown assignments.
Yeah.
Still only gave up 14 points.
Yeah, they had 366 total yards. They had 181 passing yards, 185 rushing yards.
There you go. And on the rushing yards, I think we did a better job in terms of taking away.
They just threw so many different looks that they haven't thrown all year, man. And that's something that we're starting to see from teams. Like, they know they can't beat us like straight up running like a basic kind of offense. So you're gonna see your trick plays. You're gonna see.
And I hate to do this to you, but good news, bad news again.
Yeah.
Okay. Repeat your statement again. That they know what?
That they know that they can't beat us with their basic offense.
Correct. But what do they also know? That they can beat us by out coaching the defensive coordinator.
I mean, yes and no. Okay. All right, big dog. You know a lot more about the X's and O's, and you know a lot more about football than I do.
What do you say, J Love?
What's up, J Love T?
With the donation. Thank you, J Love.
I'm gonna get to your question right now, big dog.
Yeah.
Coming from a defensive coordinator's perspective, let's put ourselves in Blake Baker's shoes for a second. And like I said, you know more about football, you know more about X's and O's. How hard is it to game plan against something that you've never seen before?
That's fair. That's absolutely fair.
You understand what I'm saying?
That's fair. I'm not going to argue.
I mean, they're throwing 3 different quarterbacks.
Correct.
You know, most of the rushes came on the QBs, and then with these funky formations, and then it's just it's a Virginia offense that we haven't seen all season.
Correct. But the flip side I give you of that is this.
Mm-hmm.
If you are doing things creatively, schematically,
right,
you force them to rein it in somewhat because they don't know where you're going to be.
Okay, but I point to this. Coming out of the second half, our defense looked completely different.
Absolutely.
So we made adjustments.
We did. We absolutely did.
So I understand the frustration with Baker, and I'm with that 100%. We saw what they came out with in the first half, okay, which is something that we've never seen before, something that you can't prepare for something that you've never seen before. That's just
hard.
It's hard. It's hard to do that,
especially you have no tape on it. You have no tape on it. I mean, you had some tape on it because they sort of stumbled on that the previous week.
Yeah, but it was nowhere near. I mean, they were getting a full dose of that all game. Okay,
correct.
So we saw that happen. We saw that happen in the first half, and we come out of the second half, and we just look different. Yeah, we did make adjustments.
We did,
and then on 3rd and longs, we started to bring pressure. You know what I'm saying? We started to see a more aggressive, and then we knew what they were trying to do, and we kept them at bay. You know what I'm saying? So, what I did like to see, and there are question marks, guys. We said it all along. You know, for many games, even going into last year, there are concerns here and there with Baker. I'm not gonna front like there's not, because there are spurts where you're like, oh, okay, that's the Miami Hurricanes defense, and there are spurts where you're just like, dude, what the are you doing, man? Like that's not a Miami Hurricanes defensive scheme. We're not playing aggressive. Okay, we're not wrapping up. So yes, there are concerns, but there were adjustments made. And coming out of the second half, we saw that we played different. We just played different because we're like, oh, okay, we see what you're doing. So adjustments were made, and that's a little bit on the positive side. But like you said, big dog, with some positivity comes some negativity, because I mean, last night it was just a sloppy game, man. So there are a lot of takes to take away from last night.
Yeah, that's the thing. And listen, I'm not, you know me, man. I'm not a knee jerk, reaction type of guy. So I'm not talking about fire Blake Baker immediately, and that's not what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, we gave up 14 points. Okay, it is. University of Miami isn't, and I heard somebody say this in the chat, so forgive me if I don't give you credit. I don't remember who said it, but it isn't on-the-job training. You don't start off at, you don't, we need proven people in those slots.
Hey, Orange and Green Blood, once we haven't done it, big dog. One time for
I'm sorry. Cohen. It's all about the U, Cohen.
Sir. Hey, J Love T, man, thank you so much for the donation. He says, dear, we got to talk about this too, man, because I'm done defending him.
I am too.
Dear Manny Diaz, please, for God's sakes, put Amari Carter at striker. Our fan base are actually smart people. I'm done defending Amari Carter, ladies and gentlemen.
I know. And J Love, I get it, and you're right. You're absolutely right about that. But at the same time, Amari, come on, man. I mean, seriously.
Come on, man.
I mean, seriously, man. There was no defense of that. He completely lowered his head. He completely led with the crown of his helmet. It was literally use it as a textbook to show people this is what we mean by targeting.
Yeah.
Not the first time this has happened. It's not the second time this has happened. I'm starting to lose count. How many times this has happened with Amari? Come on, man. You played a lot of football at the University of Miami. You played a lot of football at the University of Miami. Okay, you're not a freshman. Okay, you're not a redshirt freshman. You're not a redshirt sophomore. Okay, it needs to stop. It needs to stop. And until it stops, you can't get on the field anywhere. Will you be better suited playing closer to the line of scrimmage? Yes. Okay, but at the same time, what's going on, man? What's going on with your thought process? What's going on with the coaching? Because if the player does something that isn't wrong and the refs got it wrong, okay, then as a coach, you need to stick by your player. Okay, and publicly stick by him anyway. Stick by him. Regardless, even if he is wrong, handle that privately. But privately, after it happens more than once, I have a conversation with him, and the conversation is, you want to be out on that field, you cannot do that anymore.
Yeah.
You cannot do that anymore.
It just feels like Carter's gonna be like, man, I'm about to go out there, give somebody a concussion, and just chill and watch this game, man. You guys go ahead, baby.
No, listen, and by all and Amari, when I've seen Amari, he seems like a great young man. He really does. and you know his you could tell his teammates love him. But man, Amari, what are you doing? You're hurting the team. Cost us a touchdown on that drive. Okay, we cannot have that. We cannot have that, and it isn't an isolated incident. And what bothered me about this one is it was clear as day. There was no gray area. He lowered his head and hit him with the crown of his helmet.
It was obvious. It was obvious. But Big Dog, listen. Hey, I see our players get hit like that every single week, man. They never call a damn thing on these other teams, man.
But do you think officials don't study the teams they're about
to call it both ways, Big Dog?
No. But the problem is number 5 has a giant target on his back. Because when they go over teams,
all right. So you know what? So then what Manny Diaz and the coaching staff have to do is look. Exhibit A, Exhibit B, Exhibit C, referees. This happens every single freaking game. So please, I want to see a targeting penalty called for the Miami for the Miami Hurricanes against the other team because it happens every single week. It just feels like
we hardly ever get the call.
We never get the call.
Yeah. You're right. That's fair.
It just gets me upset, man. It gets me upset.
That's fair. And it was frustrating. And like I said, he's a Cane, okay? And he'll always be a Cane.
Yeah.
And we'll always root for the young man, and we always want what's the best for him. But Amari, you need to be a leader on the team. And part of being a leader is leading by example. And when you do things like that, on some level, it's selfishness.
Yeah.
It's I want to light this guy up, and I'm putting that above what's good for my team. Because when that happened with Amari, what did we see afterwards? Gervin Hall went down. Okay, he came back in the game, so it was fine.
Yeah.
But what would have happened if he didn't? We were playing without Brian Ballone.
Yeah.
Okay?
I agree, JLT. That's what I'm trying to say.
So you hurt the team.
Yeah.
You hurt the team. And at some point, we have to hold him responsible for that.
No, at some point, no. It's now.
No, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, we've passed the point. We've passed the point where we should have held him responsible. Yeah. And absolutely, the coaches deserve part of that blame too.
Yeah, because
either you haven't stressed it to him enough.
Stacey, I understand, and there's been targeting penalties called where
was clear. Stacey, where there's been plays that happens, and it happened on that play. But Amari had no defense.
But you're still leading with the crown of your helmet.
He ducked his head and led with the crown of your helmet.
That's it. That's what it comes down to.
So if the wide receiver ducks his head and you lead with your shoulder, you don't get that call against you.
Right.
Okay. The thing is, people say, well, it's really hard, nowadays. No, it isn't. No, it isn't. I played defense and I never used the crown of my helmet. You know why? Because back then they didn't have the good helmets that they have now, or as good of helmets as they have now. If you led with the top of the crown of your helmet, you could end up paralyzed back then. How did Mark Manacani end up paralyzed? He hit the dude with the crown of his helmet. So back then it was, it's like I remember. I think I mentioned this, but if I didn't, it still bears repeating. If I did, Dick Butkus was on Mike and Mike one time. And Mike Golick, I think it was Mike Greenberg, went to make a joke with Dick Butkus saying, man, if you played in today's game, you'd have to play for free because you'd be getting fined so much that you give back all your salary. And Dick Butkus said, no, that's not true. He said, I never led with my helmet.
Yeah.
And he didn't. If you look at even some of his more violent hits, he didn't lead with his helmet. He led with his forearm. And back then you could get away with a forearm shiver to the head, where nowadays you can't. Okay, I get that. Guzman says back in the 30s. But the thing is, you do not lead with the crown of your helmet, and the guys, the younger guys.
By the way, I don't think the angle on the Bubba hit was a terrible angle because it looked like he hit him with the helmet.
And he did.
And he didn't. It was shoulder. So no, that was not targeting. That's and of course, Mendenhall calling a timeout using you're such an idiot, dude. First of all, you need your timeouts.
Can you tell that Tim Hasselbeck hates the game?
Oh my God!
Jesus Christ!
No,
man.
and on that pass interference call, he's like, "Well, that's a late flag," and I'm just like, "Dude, that was an obvious pass interference." And what else? What else did he say? About the Bolden play. How that was clear targeting.
Yeah, that's the one I'm talking about.
And then he also made a comment about that you need to catch a ball and bring it into your chest before it's an actual catch on
on the Mike Harley one.
I'm like, no, dude, when the ball is in your hands and it shows that you have control of the ball in your hands, that's a catch, you idiot.
Exactly right.
You don't have to bring it into your chest for it to be a catch. Right. Man, I was just like, dude, shut up already, man. You have no idea what you're talking about, man.
He needs to be quiet. So, all right. So getting back, so we talked about Amari. Getting back to the good news, bad news. Not seeing enough creativity defensively. I want to see more of that.
It was the Wiggins catch. It wasn't the Mike Hardy one.
Oh, was it Wiggins?
Yeah, it was a Wiggins one. Yeah, Mike Hardy was the one that was the one that he slapped that foot down. The one that they initially called incomplete.
No, that was Pope's.
Oh, that was Pope's. No,
the
one, but the one I'm talking about was the D Wiggins
one. It was the D Wiggins one. I thought it was the Mike Harley one.
No, it was the D Wiggins one.
Dwayne Baker with the donation. Thank you, Dwayne.
Before we get to Dwayne's comment, Tori wanted to ask about our line.
Go ahead.
Tori wanted to ask about our linebackers, man. Why do they look slow, and why does it feel like our linebackers are always taking poor angles?
That's a fair comment. That's a fair comment. And I've seen that a lot. I saw it a little bit less yesterday, though. Yesterday, I thought the linebacking unit as a whole played a little bit better than they have. But, yeah, that's been a problem. And that was a problem with Shaq and Pickney here, too. It was a problem at times with bad angles. Yeah. I mean, that's something that's where play call, coaching points has to meet instincts. And we've seen some poor instincts. And when you see that from a guy like Sam Brooks, it's understandable. And yet he does it less than the other guys because Sam was a defensive end in high school. So he was sort of learning a new position, playing middle linebacker. So that you would understand. But Jennings, that's not the case with Jennings. Not the case with McLeod. Not the case with, and I've seen it from McLeod too, who's very experienced. So yeah, I mean that's been one of the most. I wouldn't say they look slow, but they don't play as fast as they can. So yeah, I mean that's been a concern all season. I think that's been the weak spot of our defense.
Yeah.
Go ahead with Dave's comment.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Dwayne. Dwayne Baker 305 with a $10 donation, man. Thank you so much. Canes fam, let's pump the brakes. We're 5-1. Or would y'all rather be 3-3 at this time last year? We beat a team we should have beat. Seems like nothing's good enough for us. We want 0 to 100 real quick.
I have yeah, absolutely, Dwayne. That's 100%. No, McLeod actually can run. He really can. He just takes the wrong angle a lot of times. But Dwayne, on that comment, man, yeah, ditto. I what is it? Being it's a political season, I approve of that message.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you. Listen, we're 5-1. Any way you slice it. Look at Clemson yesterday. Clemson struggled with Syracuse, who's a really bad team. I mean, I know that Virginia also only has one win, but Virginia's a better team than Syracuse. Okay, and Clemson struggled with Virginia yesterday, and they ended up winning comfortably. I get it, but
Clemson struggled with Syracuse.
With Syracuse, they did.
Yeah. No, because you said they struggled with Virginia.
I said I'm sorry. Yeah, they struggled with Syracuse. So it
And
was
this is why I'm not a fan of the whole. Oh, this team, killed this team, and
right, right.
look what we're because listen, guys, and then
Like
because I saw
we call that in MMA, we call that MMA math. That people do MMA math. So
right.
fighter B beat fighter A, so and fighter C, should beat fighter A then because fighter C beat fighter B, and it doesn't work that way.
It doesn't work that way.
Way.
Because I started seeing yesterday. Oh my God! You see, look what Notre Dame did to Pitt. Yeah, but look what Notre Dame. What happened with Notre Dame and Louisville? They
Right.
they won 12-7.
Right.
So it's like, yeah, they beat the brakes off of Pitt, but then what happened with Louisville? And then Florida State beats UNC, and then
pretty handily too.
Yeah, and then they get their bus whooped by Louisville. So you can't go based on like what one team did against another team.
Right.
Listen, man, like
if we go by that, what was the final score of the Florida State UNC game?
I don't remember, but it came down to the end.
Yeah, but they were up big early.
No, they were up big early, but yeah, USC came back though.
Right. But so if you do that math, we beat FSU by 42 points. So then we have to beat North Carolina by 42 by plus whatever they lost to Florida State by.
Right.
That's not the way it works. That's not the way it works. So first off, just from the standpoint of styles and matchups are make games. There could be, and that's a perfect example. Syracuse has now done that several times against Clemson, where they play their best game of the season against Clemson every year. And it seems like Clemson plays their worst game of the season every year against Syracuse.
Right.
So, styles make matchups, man. They do. And at the end of the day, we are 5-1. At the end of the day, we are 5-1. Okay. If this was last season, we lose that game against Virginia.
And our only loss came against the best team in the country. So
absolutely. And we might have lost that game against Pitt. Okay. So being able to win when you're not at your best, that's a good thing.
Right.
That's a good thing. So we're 5-1. There was some positives. There is.
What do you think about this? What do you think about this comment, Big Dog? Because I've seen this a lot. Spud says we're 5-1, but we're not improving.
That's more fair.
That's more fair.
That's more fair. Yeah, that's more fair.
Especially when it comes to. I know
we're not playing our best football right now.
We're not that's for sure. All, man. We're not at all.
That's for sure. Our best football was obviously Florida State, but UAB, even Louisville to an extent, which I don't think I was unhappy there defensively in that game. But even then we were crisper than we are now.
I'm with you, Tampa Bay Nation.
So
yeah, hopefully we come out because NC State's a good team, man. So hopefully this bye week has me a little concerned. we come out by a week so a little flat. So NC State's a pretty good team because we play that Friday.
But the thing that doesn't bode well for them is their running defense is atrocious. You saw North Carolina
our running offense hasn't been really good, Big Dog.
No, that's true. That's fair. That's fair, man. That's fair.
What do you think about the whole Cam Harris situation? Because that's a hot topic right now. He feels like disrespected. I don't know what do you guys think? Was he talking about the coaches? Was he talking about the fans? Like what? Because I have a feeling he was talking about the fans. Now we didn't see Cam Harris late. When it comes to who had the better production, Knighton and Chaney.
Chaney was the best running back.
Yeah, but both of them had better production than Cam. So what's going on with Cam? Is he hurt? Is he banged up? Does he feel? What's this whole thing with him being disrespected? I wonder what he means. of that. You know what I'm saying? Like,
what does he mean by disrespected by whom?
yeah, I think he's talking about the fans too, man. To be honest with you, Lotso. But I haven't seen that much slander when it comes to Cam on the fan base on Twitter. I don't know. Maybe there is, but I haven't. Like, I'm not. I don't know, man. 8 for 8 Cam Harris. I would have been pissed too.
I have to tap out because I don't. I'm not on Twitter almost ever now.
Yeah,
every once in a while I'll get a notification, and it's from one of our Junior and the Big Dog fam. So I'll look at it. But for the most part, I'm not on Twitter.
Yeah, I'm taking a step back from I've been taking a step back, and honestly, I've had to unfollow people, and it's not because of anything personal, but you know, when you get stuff that pop up on your feed because people that you're following, they like it, so it pops up on your feed. Well, I've been going kind of on a small little purge on Twitter, and it's nothing personal, man. It really isn't. Like, there's gonna be people with different opinions and whatnot.
Trying to get negativity out of your life.
I'm trying to get negativity out of my life, and I see people liking certain comments about politics and about certain people, and I'm just like, when I go on Twitter, like, I just don't want to see that. Like, I don't want to see those conversations.
That's what I'm saying, guys.
That's my escape. So,
social dilemma.
If by any chance you see that I unfollowed you, it is nothing personal, my man. I'm trying to get rid of my Twitter feed of as much negativity as I possibly can, because there's plenty of it on the mainstream media and on a whole bunch of different other websites. So I'm trying to get as much negativity as I possibly can out of my life, and especially when it comes on Twitter, man. So it's nothing personal.
It's toxic.
If I unfollow people on Twitter, man.
Yeah, it's toxic.
But let's get some more.
We got 2 donations here, back to back.
We did. Oh, we did. I didn't see it.
Yeah, Sean Andrews. Thank you, Sean.
Where is it at? Oh, I see it. Here it is. Sean Andrews, man, thank you so much.
And Valdez Mosley also.
Yeah, I saw his. Okay. Sean Andrews with a $5 donation. Thank you so much. The reason fans are upset is that we are not improving as a team despite winning. Passing game much improved, but a lot of the same mistakes. A lot of the same mistakes.
We are seeing a lot of the same mistakes. I mean, that's true.
We are, but the blame has shifted.
You think?
Because a lot of where was a lot of the blame last year?
Enos.
Do you contribute the
right. We're not seeing that now. Right. To the same extent, there has been some people which I don't understand. I don't understand how anybody can have a problem with Lashley.
Right. So the blame has shifted.
Right.
So I agree with the mistakes, but
to his point again, even though we're winning, we're not improving, and we should be.
Yeah. Maybe the players are just not. Maybe we need this 2020 class and this 2021 class and the 2022 class to really start seeing the Miami Hurricanes that we want to see, because some of these sophomores and juniors and even seniors are not cutting it, big dog. I don't know what to say.
Yeah. I mean, you're not seeing smart play out of some of the upperclassmen, and that's not a or even motivated play at times. But overall, the effort level has been night and day from last year. And I hope everybody would agree with that the effort level has been much, much better and much more consistent than last year.
Florida came, man. Why? Hey, like,
you wouldn't agree with that?
Are you trolling Florida came, man? Because you over here like just talking crazy.
I don't know. What do you say?
Whatever. It is what it is. Do I agree with what, big dog? What'd you say?
That the effort level has been much, much better than it was last year.
Oh yeah, I agree with that.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, the effort level for sure. And listen, for those of you saying, "Hey, we're not running the ball effectively, man. We gotta stop running the ball." No, man. No, we don't
No.
we have to continue to try to run the ball,
Yeah.
and we have to establish the identity that we're going to run the ball.
Yeah.
And
And we are running it better on short yardage, at least. That's been much improved.
We are, but and that's also because you can't get down distance, especially when it comes to third down. And I mean, I don't know.
Those third and shorts, we're converting them.
We are 100%. Let me get to Valdez Mosley's comment. $5 donation. He says,
Thank you, Valdez.
Here's a question: how is it possible that Wake Forest put up 40 points on a Virginia defense that Manny claims is lights out?
Yeah, and not only that, I mean, they gave up in all three of the previous losses to us. I mean, before the game last night, they've given up 38 points or more.
Right.
Again, I mean, just looking at points, we ended up with how many total yards, Junior? Last night.
We ended up with what did you say, total yards? We ended up with 444, 322 passing and 122 rushing. Okay.
So those numbers, considering the conditions last night,
we almost put up 500 yards.
Yeah, we put up 444, right? It's almost 450 total yards.
Right.
And so that's pretty decent, especially considering the conditions.
And when it comes, listen, I wanted to cover this as well. I'm sorry, big dog.
You're fine.
Third down efficiency, 8 for 17.
There you go. Almost 50%.
Fourth down efficiency, 1 for 1. We ran 78 total plays. Penalties.
Right around that 80 that Leslie likes to target.
Penalties, only 6 for 38 yards.
Yeah.
Time of possession, 31 minutes for us, 28 minutes for them.
And that's considering the number of plays, how quickly we run plays. I'll bet you our play differential was much bigger than that. How many total plays did Virginia run?
67.
There you go. So we had 11 more plays than they did.
Right.
So that's, I mean, I understand what you're saying about this, and thank you again for the donation. Again, you can't always go by that. You can't go, well, if Team A did this, we have to do this, because each game is its own little island. It's different things, different conditions. With the rain that we had yesterday, there's things that are just different in each individual game. Now, but what is fair is that our offense is not
Gary.
Is not looking better than it did earlier in the year. And that's a concern. And that's a concern, and it's a legitimate concern. Our offensive line is nowhere near the train wreck that it was last year. It's much, much improved. It's still not where we need it to be. I mean, there's been some disappointments individually and as units. Our units are not where we need to be all over. When you take unit by unit, that offensive line isn't as dominant as I believe it's going to be here in the next couple of seasons.
Right.
Linebackers. I believe that linebacker unit's going to be very good a year from now, 2 years from now.
Wide receivers.
Now that's been perplexing.
Our best position group, I would say, has been with the exception of Amari Carter, has been the safeties, especially Bubba Bolden.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because even the defense,
I would say our best. Well, when I say unit, I use a secondary, a defensive secondary as a whole. So I include cornerbacks in that.
So all DBs.
I would say that the D line has probably played better.
If we're including all DBs, and then I would agree. Yeah, but we're not seeing.
We're not seeing Greg Rousseau back there either.
Yeah, I know.
We're not seeing a ton of sacks. We're not seeing a ton of sacks, and a lot of times the sacks have been happening.
But we're seeing a lot of pursuit to the football, and we're seeing a
lot of hustle. Level is much better.
Let me get these donations before I lose them, big dog. Another $5 donation from Sean. Man, he said the effort is there, A+.
Absolutely, Sean.
The question is, why are we not playing our best ball?
That's a good question, Sean. That's a very good question. Um, I'm wondering, Sean, there's things that you see on the field that you have to try to do a little bit of detective work. And one of the things that I've seen that has been a red flag for me is that, like, for example, we've had a lot of problems getting long passing plays, downfield passing plays, and you wonder how much work is being put in by the players on their own. Because you have to remember NCAA rules. You're only allowed 20 hours a week with your players. Okay. That means a lot of the work has to be done by the players on their own. And when you see a lack of chemistry by your quarterback and your wide receivers, that's a little concerning. That's a little concerning because then you start going, well, does 2 + 2 = 4? Does that mean they're not doing a lot of work on their own? You see, like, for example, yesterday was our 6th game of the year. Leading up to it, Manny opened up the competition for the wide receiver spots, right?
Mm-hmm.
Why did we wait 5 games when our wide receivers hadn't been producing? So what ends up happening if you allow stuff like that is it becomes infectious with the team. I mean, good things are infectious, but bad things are too. And then if you have players getting away with not performing up to their capabilities and 5 games go by before a negative happens to them, one of the things that we liked early on was what happened game 1. We ran the ball for over 300 yards against UAB, and didn't matter. Manny still benched Usman Traore for Ja'Kai Clark on left guard.
Mm-hmm.
The message I saw in that was, I don't care that we won. I don't care we ran for 300 yards. Here's the standard. And if you don't meet the standard, I'll find somebody that does. Well, that creates a competitive environment. That creates the wide receiver saying, you know what? I'm going to go up to the quarterback and say, hey, man, at 7:30 tonight, what you doing? Can we go over to Carol Sofer and start running, running through having a workout?
Right.
Where we can work on the deep ball.
Yeah, in terms of the wide receivers, maybe it took so long to open up the competition because freshmen were just not ready. Big dog. There goes a lot more into just running routes and catching the ball.
Absolutely. And wide receiver is a place that experience matters an awful lot.
Yeah. So considering the fact that it took so long, the freshmen started gaining ground, and getting better and closing that gap. And add to that, not seeing the progression we wanted to see from the guys that we had ahead of them. I think that's when Manny was like, okay. And like I said, I said it on Wednesday. I said, listen, if, obviously Redding was out and Restrepo was out when it comes to the freshman wide receivers. But I said, listen, if Pope is out there, if Wiggins is out there, if Harley is out there, I'm going to know that they earned it. And Mike Harley had possibly his best game as a Hurricane, and we saw Pope play better. We didn't see that much of Wiggins, but we saw improvement, and we saw, and this is another thing. Okay, the question has been, and the question that we've been talking about, and the concerns that we've been talking about is how defenses have been playing the Miami Hurricanes. That's stacking the box, taking away the middle of the field, and forcing our defense, saying, hey, go ahead and throw it down the field. Let's see if your wide receivers could win these one-on-one matchups. We came out the gate saying, well, this is what we've been struggling with. This is what we're gonna do. We're gonna attack. 2 plays later, 7 points on the board. Yeah. So so we're seeing that, and then that play by Pope. So our wide receiver stepped up. Not having Brevin out there hurts, but we saw Mallory, and I think people were talking about why didn't we see Mallory so much in the second half. He was out there. He was, yeah, he's been battling through injuries, but he showed up. He showed up big, especially in that very first play of the game, man. So We did see some bright spots for Mattery, but I think he was banged up, so he was out there and he was blocking a lot and whatnot. But we saw our wide receiver stepped up, so that's a good thing moving forward.
I wanted to talk real quick. A couple comments. Stacy made a comment about Ja'Kai Clark that he was hurt. He had been hurt, and I know we have another. I think we have another couple.
We have 2 donations here.
And the thing is, I know that Manny said that, but Stacy, I don't believe it because you remember we heard the same thing about Rousseau last year. That supposedly his back was not 100%. Well,
yeah,
he was still leading the team in sacks. So how bad was his back?
Right.
And the other one was Curveball had a really good question, and I just want to get real quick. Or you want to do the donations first?
Yeah, just keep that Curveball question on your.
Okay.
Oh, I think I see it. Is it the why is it that most are projected?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, that one. I want to address. I'll keep it. That's a really good question.
I'll keep it on there. Let me go ahead and address Will Sky with a $5 donation. He says we are not being creative with the run, just up the middle, tackle for loss.
We're a lot of that inside zone runs. That's true. But even like for example, we did some different runs yesterday, and they weren't producing any better. Right. I don't really. I'm not concerned with the creativity of the run. I think that's okay, but running plays, even if you're creative, you got to block them. You got to block them. And what I'm seeing is when our running game isn't working, is the other team's beating our blocks.
Right.
So, and if the other team beats your blocks, I don't care what you design. It's not gonna succeed.
Right. And OG came in with a $5 donation. He says if we would have converted field goals to TDs, we would not be tripping around right now. 31-14.
That's true. That's true.
What do you think about? What did you think about the red zone play calling?
Yesterday was I had a little issue with that red zone play calling.
Me too.
I did. I thought it could have been better. I thought we played a little too conservatively.
Me too. I agree.
And yeah, I do believe that. Now, what I do want to tell people is I said things last year that are still true of this year is that, and I want you guys to get this. Yes, you can scheme to help every unit, every unit. You can scheme to help them to make their jobs easier to take advantage of their skill sets. Mm-hmm. But you will never have a lights out offense with a below average offensive line. Right. Does not happen. Will not happen. Will not happen ever. And that's one of the things I want you guys to understand is no matter how creative Lashley is, and he is, because every single game he steals us points. He steals points by the way he game plans. And he finds, how many touchdowns have we had on blown coverages and on design, the play design, setting it up for run rabbit run and they're gone.
One of the Mike Hardy touchdown.
Well, no, and you remember that every game has been that.
Every game you could count on at least one.
At Pitt, we had the Cam Harris touchdown and the Mallory.
And the Mallory. Yep.
And the Mallory one. So but at the end of the day, for you to have a dominant offense, you have to have a very good line. And our O-line is not at the spot it needs to be. So we're going to have a hit and miss offense, guys, and that's going to be the entire season. Now, what you're hoping for is that the line obviously is still young. The line is going to continue improving. Okay. Ideally, and this is, it's funny to me because you hear, and even not just analysts, but you hear fans say this all the time, that they'll say, games are won in the trenches. Well, if you're not winning the battle in the trenches offensively, how are you going to succeed in terms of consistency? How are you going to get to that 52-10 like we did against Florida State? Okay. You need to be able to win your matchups in the offensive line in order to have a great offense. And we're not there yet. Ideally, guys, offensive lines, you want them to be made up of juniors and seniors. Ideally, that's what you want. And preferably fourth-year juniors and fifth-year seniors.
Right.
because that's what it takes. That's a grown man's position there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you can't, the guys like DJ Scaife that come in and play from their freshman season. That's the exception to the rule. And I know he has a very high ceiling, but the where we want to get to is where even that guy with the high ceiling has to wait, because when we've been at our best, that's what it's been. Is there anybody in the history of the world that had a higher ceiling than Sean Taylor? No, but he had to wait his turn, didn't he? And play special teams.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that was the norm back then. So that's the thing that you want us, that our offensive line is still playing guys that should not be seeing the field.
Yeah. I agree with Gary's point here. We're going to go ahead and get to Curveball's point now. He says that Gary says that he thinks that King sometimes is holding on to the ball too long, and considering the plays that he can make with his legs, I agree 100% with that point.
I agree too,
because I've seen it.
I've seen it too.
So
I'm not even, guys. When I criticize, you have to remember, I'll take each play individually, and so it's not about, well, the result isn't good. So if
thank you, OGK.
If we gave up X number of sacks, that must mean that we play poorly. No, that's not always the case. Right. But what I'm saying is, when I see, for example, on some of these sacks, our guys are getting beat. I mean, we saw one yesterday that DJ Scaife got completely bull rushed. Okay, and got overrun.
Yeah. Okay,
that can happen to anybody on one play. When you're seeing guys consistently beating our offensive line, that's also why our running game has been inconsistent.
Right. And what we're not seeing that much of, Big Dog, is sometimes you see it, but considering the threat that King is with his feet, you're not seeing a spy on King as much as you think you would.
You see it on occasion. I think the problem is they've realized that sometimes it's pretty useless to try to spy King. So what you see is the way that they rush the passer is they do so because being that they can beat our offensive linemen with power, they can stay in their rush lanes. So what they're trying to do is make it so you don't give King an out. Maintain the contain so he doesn't get outside your defensive ends, and your D tackles don't be running a lot of those stunts where you let the middle open. So that's the way they're addressing King. Because when they did leave a spy out there, it's usually pretty useless because you're not going to tackle King one-on-one in the open field. Sorry, not going to happen, guys. He's just and defensive coordinators have sort of adjusted to that and say, why are we going to take a guy out of coverage if he's not going to be able to make the tackle anyways? So let's just address it the way we rush the passer.
All right. So let's finally get to Curveball's comment here. He says, Junior the Big Dog, why is it that our most productive and standout players are mostly transfers from other schools, not the ones recruited by Manny and company?
That's a fair point. That's absolutely a fair point.
What? Wait a second. Hold on. Manny Diaz is his second year as head coach.
Right.
I love the 2020 recruiting class.
I do too.
Which was his first real, I guess you could say, because
here's the point,
2019 is tough because
and you can't put that on the coaching staff because that's the same coaching staff that's recruited and gotten those transfer players too. You know what I'm saying? So they're recruiting, they're recognizing and targeting the right guys.
Yeah.
But those guys are not performing up to capability.
Yeah. And Manny Diaz, before we got Jalen Rivers, we got Isaiah Walker. We got some more guys coming in, but prior to that, when Manny was the coordinator, Manny wasn't the one recruiting offensive linemen.
Right.
Manny wasn't the one recruiting wide receivers. Manny wasn't the one recruiting a lot of players on offense. So,
and our defense has been championship level.
We
he was
got
D
some
coordinator, I'm saying.
studs. Yeah, we got some studs on defense. So yeah, I don't think.
But that point about transfers, is that more a condemnation of players from Florida? Because a lot of these transfers are not Florida players.
That's true.
Bubba Bolden, Jalen Phillips, Quincy Roche. They're not Florida guys. They're not South Florida guys. And look at it on the offensive side of the ball. Besides Derrick King, Jared Williams is our best offensive lineman.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. Our best receiver last year was KJ Osborne.
Yeah.
Okay. Our best offensive player outside of Derrick King is Brevin Jordan, who's from Vegas.
I think the point that some people here are trying to get at is that they don't see the development of our guys.
True. But here's my question. If you're seeing development among these transfers, then is that just a coaching problem or is that something else?
Well, I mean, Big Dog, most of these transfers were studs already before they got here.
True.
So I don't think development. You can't talk about development when it comes to transfers. Quincy Roche was Quincy Roche before he got to Miami.
Absolutely, but Jalen Phillips, yes, but he was the number one player in the 2017 class. So
right,
and Bubba was one of the highest rated safeties in the country.
And King was
one of the most dynamic players in college football.
Yeah,
that's fair. That's fair. And listen, development wise, that's fair.
Yeah,
that's fair because if you're gonna, like, for example, offensive line, but then again, this is also Garen Justice is now our third offensive line coach in the last 3 years. It might even be our fourth in the last 4 years. I think. I'm trying to remember. No, it's our third in the last 3 years.
Yeah,
because we had Stacey Searles before that,
right?
For several seasons. So our third in the last 3 seasons. I think Garen Justice is getting improvement because we've seen improvement. We've seen Zion's better than he was last year. Obviously, he's also a year older, and we're seeing improvement. I know Kayleon Herbert and Zalata Hillary both opted out. I know that, on Garen Justice, we have to give him 2-3 years to see what happens with the offensive line. But some of our local players haven't performed up to snuff. Is it development?
It has to be because we keep on seeing Florida players elsewhere balling.
But here's my question to you then. Mike Rumph. Did Michael Jackson develop under Mike Rumph?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Ephraim Banda at safety. How many safeties has Ephraim Banda put in the NFL?
Nah, my man. Listen, don't even talk about Banda.
Why?
Because, there's no criticisms there to be had from Banda.
Oh, no, that's what I'm saying. How many players has he put in the NFL?
Yeah.
King's different, but then our striker position has played really well.
Yeah.
Okay. Defensive line coach, I think his record speaks for himself too.
Yeah.
So I think the coaching is there.
Well, Phillips got hurt at UCLA.
Yeah, he got hurt, and he had a scooter accident. I guess he got hit by a car.
Yeah. He technically only had 1 full year.
Well, and really, I don't think that was even a full year because he had concussion issues that year too.
Yeah.
So I think he only played I don't know how many games at UCLA, but
Jaden Phillips is a stud, man. And I'll tell you what, if he doesn't get held every single game, he will have a bunch of sacks.
I have for you. Okay, we haven't developed players. Okay, how did Greg Rousseau develop? Pretty damn well, did he?
No.
Okay, how did I keep going on and on? How did I'm trying to think of DJ Dallas. I'm trying to think of even Cam Harris. I mean, you look at some very good players that did develop. Al Blades is developed, and we mentioned it, Rumph with the corners with Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
Guys, he made Michael Jackson into a legit.
Oh, Frierson. Look at the way Frierson has been developing. Look at the way Takori.
That's
So
the
there's some
point.
guys that they are developing. It's just,
So my question is this: if a coach develops player A and player B, but not player C, is that on the coach or is that on the player?
no, I get it.
So that's my question. And guys, I mean, there is some evidence for that, because let's remember, and again, I always preface this by
A team of 3 stars hasn't beat us yet this year. Curveball.
right, but that's been the case in the past.
That has.
But then again, it's guys, the star rating is just BS. It's just BS, man. It's arbitrary. It's completely arbitrary, and it's just not, But I get it, and the comment's legit, because at the end, it's at least a barometer that you tend to say, well, these are the guys that, if you take them as a group, are better than the guys if you take this as a group. I get that. That, and that makes sense. But it's
We lost to FIU last year, guys. Let's not forget.
we did, yeah, we did, and that's not happening this year. That's not happening this year, and we're 5-1. So, guys, I mean, that's what I would say. Pump the brakes. We are 5-1. Our offensive line is still struggling, which sort of adds to issues with offensive consistency. Defensively, our linebacker play hasn't been great, and our schemes haven't been great. So,
Big dog, we're only talking about the defense, man. Where have you seen the development on offense?
In terms of players that developed on offense,
yeah. So that's CJ Kane is saying, like, hey, come on, man. You guys only talk about the defense. Where's the development of the offense?
Yeah, Navon Donaldson didn't. DJ Scaife doesn't really seem like he's developing. Oh, he did develop from year 1 to year 2, but from 2 to 3, we're not seeing as much development as we thought.
Gainer has developed.
Gainer has developed for sure.
In terms of our wide receivers, I've seen no development except for maybe Harley. Maybe.
Yeah, but he's also maturing too. I mean, he's a 12th year senior. It feels like, doesn't it feel like Harley's been with us since like 2006? It feels like Harley's been there forever. Yeah, we've had some, but this is the point I'm making. But that I was making about the offense. Let's remember, and again, I always preface this by giving him credit, because he manned up to it publicly, which he didn't have to do. But Mark Pope said he never cracked his playbook. He never cracked his playbook on year 1. Remember that?
Yeah, I know.
Okay, so Mark Pope himself admitted that.
Yeah.
All right. And what does that tell me?
Hit the like button, family.
Think about that. How many players do you know that are highly productive that will go ahead and take a year off? That doesn't happen, guys. The guys that are highly productive don't take a year off. They arrive on campus wanting to play right away. Mm-hmm. And Mark Pope said, I didn't crack my playbook my freshman year. I only learned how to run 3 patterns when I was in high school. There was only 3 patterns. What was it? He had the 9. He said the patterns. I think it was a slant, a 9 route, and I forgot what he said. That's all he ran in high school.
Yeah.
And then he gets to college and he says, "Oh, that's okay. I don't want to play my first year. I won't get my playbook at all."
Mm-hmm.
That's a red flag, man. That's a red flag.
I'm not seeing the back and forth here with Martin and Spud. I haven't been keeping up.
Oh. I wonder how many people even know Spud McKenzie, where that's from. That shows an age difference. You know who Spud McKenzie was?
Spud. No, I do not.
Yeah, that was a back in the day. There was a beer commercial with what's the name of those dogs that have like that one black eye? Like they're white, but they have that one like a black patch over one eye.
I forgot.
And anyways, whatever type of dog that was, and he was named Spud McKenzie.
Yeah.
So
all right, so we're gonna start winding it down a little bit. Hold up, did we win yesterday? Asking all the coaches in the chat.
Put Curveball's last comment on there too. That's exactly what I mean. And you did it much better, much more succinctly than I do.
Mammy
exactly what I meant. As an example, underrated Greg Rousseau, overrated Mark Pope. But the thing is, curveball. What did we hear about what Rousseau is? He ended up not playing very much as a true freshman because of the ankle injury that he had. But he was a redshirt freshman last year, 15 and a half sacks. So the thing is, two things. That Mark Pope thought it was okay to just take his freshman year off is concerning. And that he was not called out on it is even more concerning.
Right.
That he was allowed to do that.
Yeah.
Bulldog Terrier, thank you, Les. So that's a concern.
So where are we at, big dog?
5-1, man. 5-1. And
Are
we're gonna have
are we better than Notre Dame?
No,
we're not.
No, we're not.
Are we gonna? I don't think we're gonna be playing for an ACC championship this year, based on what I've seen so far.
It's playing the way our offensive line and our linebacker play has been.
You know what I was hoping for?
We're going to trip up at some point.
You know what I was hoping for? I was hoping for Syracuse to possibly beat Clemson, and then Notre Dame beat Clemson, and then us winning out and then facing Notre Dame for the ACC championship.
Hold on, I just got a telegram. Nobody is beating Clemson. Nobody's beating Clemson, man. I think you got Clemson the rest of college football. And by the way, you saw
I think we're gonna
lost Waddle for the season.
Yeah, I did see that. I think we are gonna and see we'll clean our clock. Come on, guys.
Yeah, I mean, I won't say that they'll clean our clock. I think we could be in and look at NC. Look what happened to them against Florida State. So I mean, it's not. And again, you can't do that math of, well, we beat Florida State by 42. They lost to Florida, or the Florida State.
Agreed, Temple.
That means we beat them by 43. So no, you can't do that. But I do think because of the inconsistency in offensive line and linebacker play, and maybe some of the scheme issues defensively, I think there's going to be a game that we trip up.
Yeah, we needed that Clemson game that they had against Syracuse against the Canes.
Yeah. Yep.
I'm not gonna say not even close to Notre Dame, because when you guys remember what happened to Notre Dame in 2017?
Exactly. No, but that was different though. That was different because I think here there's a unit issue. Now, can we beat Notre Dame? Yeah, I think we could beat them. That doesn't mean that we're better than them. Yeah. Now I will say this:
if we better than UNC,
no,
right? But they beat them.
But they beat them. If we swapped offensive line, then we're a much better team than they are.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm talking about, is that if your offensive line, and guys, let's remember again, our offensive line, we have guys that are still young in their college careers playing a lot of snaps on offensive line. You don't want that. Ideally, you want that to be an upperclassman position. Oh, Chug Mobeer, thank you, Chug.
What I love about Chug's donations is that he basically summarizes the points that we've been making, and he just hits them on the nail of the head. Thank you so much, Chug, for the $20 dono. He says, "Hello, Junior the Big Dog. Just called you guys. Happy about the win. Offense has a long way to go. O-line is not improving enough." Which we agree with. Let's go Canes, one game at a time. No looking ahead. We're 5-1, baby.
Perfect. That's perfect. That's
5-1, man.
That's true. That's true. And that's yeah, you're right, Dredd. That was a fluke. But yeah, I just don't see. I mean, I think the fact that we're 5-1 and we are seeing some of these issues is a good thing. And this goes back to the theme of the show: good news, bad news. The good news is we're 5-1. I should have done the bad news first. The bad news is offensive line is improving, still not where it needs to be. Linebacker play has been really spotty. Have some scheme issues, to some bones to pick with the DC. But we're 5-1. Yeah. And even if we were to trip up, then we end up 9-2. Even if we trip, like again, I'm saying.
Right.
Okay. So Hell of a lot better than 6-7.
Yeah.
Hell of a lot better than 6-7. So
not as good as we want to be, but I think that
we're getting there.
but we're getting there.
We're getting there,
And that goes back to what. Listen, guys, it doesn't happen overnight. It just doesn't.
And I'm sorry,
a culture doesn't change overnight.
It doesn't change overnight.
You need to get recruiting classes in.
There you go. And we're seeing glimpses. We're seeing glimpses because we're seeing that 2020 class is a little different.
Yeah.
Corey Flagg, Xavier Restrepo, Redding, Keyshawn Smith, Brian Balone. Oh man, I'm missing a ton. Isaiah Dunson. That 2020 class is special, and the attitude is special. So
it is sloppy, Lenores. It is.
Yeah, we're seeing glimpses of it being better. We're seeing glimpses of the effort level being much better. We're seeing glimpses of the competitiveness being better, but we still have. It's like we got over the COVID, right, from last season,
right,
and this season we still have a cough, still have a sniffles, still don't feel very good, still having to take NyQuil to go to sleep, but we feel better.
Yeah,
it
doesn't change overnight with any coach. It has nothing to do with Manny. I disagree with that point.
I can't disagree with that point completely. I can't disagree with that point completely because Manny let too many shenanigans go on last year. He allowed,
but this is his first head coach gig, man.
I get it, but he still did not. He did not.
But we're seeing the changes. We're seeing him doing things differently this year, big dog.
Correct. We are. And Ed Reed has been a difference also having him in the program. And again, it's getting better. Going back to the same analogy, we're out of the hospital, we feel better, but we still have the sniffles and a cough, and we're still taking NyQuil to go to sleep at night. So we're still not where we need to be, but we're at least on the journey forward, improving, going forward, and not regressing.
Correct.
So
yeah, man. So that's gonna be it, man, for this post game show, man. Thank you so much for everybody that joined us, everybody that donated, everybody that liked, new subscribers. If you're not subscribed yet to the channel, man, please hit that sub button, hit the notification bell so you get notified anytime the Big Dog do go live.
I want to address something. Look at Nick Saban's first year at Bama. Look at his record his first year at Bama. Now, I'm not saying that Manny Diaz is going to end up being Nick Saban, but what I'm saying is, and remember, Saban already had a national championship in his back pocket from LSU.
You can't compare Saban to them.
Right. But yeah, I mean, I do get that.
How long did it take Dabo to turn Clemson around?
Yeah, it takes a while. In order to change the culture, it takes a while.
So we'll see what happens, man.
We're getting there. And remember, guys, we got some dogs coming in 2021.
Oh yeah,
we got some dogs. We got. I'm not just talking about the top. With Turner and with James Williams and the like. We got some dogs coming in 2021.
We gotta keep on getting these dogs, man, and we gotta take advantage of FSU being what FSU is.
Yep.
So, and I think that's gonna do nothing but benefit us. And as long as we keep on winning these games, man, and we keep on showing that, hey, we're improving, man. A lot of these kids are gonna want to be a part of the change and bring the U back for real.
And if any of these young men are watching that are still making their minds up about where they want to go, for example, I'll throw one out there. Let's say if you go to high school at Palmetto, and you're trying to decide, for example, between COVID University in Gainesville and us. I'm not saying that you're going to get to HIV if you go to Gainesville. I'm just saying it seems to be there a lot. That's all I'm going to say. But anyway. No.
But guys, so yeah, man, thank you guys so much, man. We really do appreciate it. Bergie. I actually caught you this time, Bergie, because sometimes you leave a dono after we log off.
Thank you, Bergie.
Thank you so much for attending that dono. He says, for me, the real key to this season is doing enough to keep the upcoming class together. The fact
that's a great point.
But that's what I was trying to say. The fact we're winning is awesome.
Great point.
But
You're
keeping
right.
the 2021 class together is what matters. 100%, man.
And Bergie, that's the thing is, let's keep our eye on the prize. At the University of Miami, we don't look at for moral victories. We don't look at, we play for the ACC championship. No, what matters is, are we putting something together that's going to compete and win national championships?
Right.
And keeping that 2021 class together is what matters.
Exactly.
Is what matters, because then it snowballs. Then you're looking at, we've gotten some great transfers that have boosted up even the poor 2019 class, boosted it up to top 10 material. And then 2020, then 2021, then you stack 2022 on there, and we're on our way.
100%.
And we're on our way to competing for those national championships, which is how the University of Miami is going to be measured.
Yep.
So,
absolutely.
Perfect. Thank you, Bergie, for the dono, too.
So thank you guys so much, man. I hope you guys have a good rest of your weekend. If you're down here in South Florida, stay dry, because it looks like it's gonna rain all day. So very gloomy day down here in South Florida, man. So stay dry, stay safe, guys. And thank you for joining us. And you already know what it's about, man. It is and always will be.
It's always all about this you.
You guys
have a great Sunday, guys.
Absolutely.